Hey church, happy Wednesday. Good to see y'all. I'm Joe Hollenbach. I'm a member here at Christ Church, and I'm so excited to have you tune in today. Hope everybody's having a good midweek. If I was back in the classroom, all of my freshmen would jump in and say, "It's hump day." They're goofy like that. But I'm much happier to be spending it with y'all today. Today, I dove in on a conversation that me and my dad have had, and if you've watched previous episodes that I've hosted, you know that my dad's a pastor, and he is probably my largest, I am a disciple of him in a lot of ways, not just as a son is to a father, but just generally a spiritual disciple of his. Any ideas that I ever have, I can bounce off him. That also means I can blame him when I'm wrong, which is kind of fun. But one of the things that's been kind of rattling around in my heart and in my time, both with Jesus, but also in just my free time thinking, is discernment towards wisdom. I feel like as a self-described, I'll just say it, I'm an addict of social media. It's one of those things where I have so much information always readily available to me, and I know everybody else does. It's rare to walk into a restaurant and not see everybody having conversation, but also looking down while doing it, right? What's that doing to us, right? Like, that's the question I have. Where's the wisdom coming from? What are the things that we're taking in? We live in the most digitized era of world history, of human history. And I'm really curious what that's doing to us. You know, we consume social media like it's what's for dinner, and we can't get enough. And so questioning the ideas of wisdom requires me to redefine what I think of wisdom as. And for me, there's no better place to do that, obviously, than in the Word of God. And specifically, James 3 in the New Testament really goes after it. This is something that my dad told me to go and read and reflect on. And this is kind of what I came away with. James is the brother of Jesus, and in James 3, he's really kind of getting after the holier-than-thou mentality of a lot of people within the church. So I feel a little bit seen in a way, like it was a little too direct at me, which is probably good. But when he gets into the latter portion of chapter 3, verses 13 through 18, I'm going to read them. He's starting to talk about wisdom. He says, "Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, the deeds done in humility that come from wisdom. But if you harbor any bitterness or envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is an earthly, unspiritual, and demonic thing. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and every evil practice." And I don't know if you watched Church Sunday, but this is going directly towards what, Jeff was talking about. So I loved that there was spiritual symmetry to that. The idea of, what we consume is so important, and the idea that, necessarily what you allow in, it's going to get a hold of you. And so you've got to be careful about it. But for me, this passage packs a punch for a couple of reasons. I'm big on practicality. I want tangible pieces of the Bible, especially things that I can measure. It makes it easier for me. I don't know if you're like that. Maybe the deeper stuff, you can just abstractly understand it. I need something practical. So for me, two parts to this. First, I can measure what biblical wisdom looks like. James expressly says it. It's about the good life you live in humility, the fruits of humility. Now, I think that we have some, or at least I did, misconceptions on what humility is. It's not insecurity. It's not bumbling about how, I'm nothing special. No, biblical humility is the ability to admit to yourself and truly believe it, that you are at the mercy of God and that He is guiding your steps towards the best possible outcome. I think we need to have confidence in that. So it's far from the perception of humility that we see in the world. Now, the second thing that packs a punch for me there is that we also have a definition of what ungodly wisdom looks like. So I can spot it easily. Now, here's the hard part. I don't think James is talking about spotting it in everybody else. I think he's talking about spotting it in us. So it means I have to be tough, and I have to tell honest and true things about the state of my heart. I have to look for those seeds of selfishness and envy and all the deceit that I've been building up. And I have to be willing to just shed it away. Now, that's easier said than done, but it actually is really easy. To embrace the humility of God is to do nothing more than to lay everything at His feet and understand that He wants what's best for you. So I would encourage you that as we present these two wisdoms to you, the earthly and the heavenly, it's obvious that the heavenly is better. But that's an intentional act. It's a practical thing. You have to live it. You have to show it. Like James says, you have to do it through the good deeds of your life. That's where it's going to be played out. So these are the things that as I come into my summer break, I'm going to kind of play with in my heart, that I'm going to draw near to God on in my prayer time and ask Him to reveal in me the lack of humility and the places where I haven't yet given away enough for Him to come in and make His move. I hope you all join me. And as always, I love you guys. Really, really happy to be here. And I'll see you next time. Take care.